Hey guys, and welcome to the first devlog for a brand new project. I think it's safe to say that the scope for this project is a lot larger than the scope of any other projects I've previously worked on. So anyway, the game's name is Magnite, and it's a top-down game based around exploration, gathering, and combat. I will explain the project in a little more detail, however, for now I think it's about time to start getting to work. Hey everyone, so I've decided to finally start working on Magnite. So in terms of what I have to get started, I just have this really basic player art and a couple other sprites which you'll definitely be seeing later on. This player art is definitely temporary, it's just something that I can have to look at while I'm developing in these early stages. However, I'm not really focusing on player design for now. What I'm actually going to be focusing on is some procedural generation. I've never really done that before, so I'm going to have to watch a few YouTube videos to work it out, but I'll catch up with you guys once I've done it. So while I work on that, I think I should give you a little bit more of an in-depth explanation of what this game is and going to be. I've always wanted to make a game that involves some sort of procedural generation, and I recently came up with this idea for a game where you spawn into a randomly generated world with some basic tools. In each world generated, there will be a stadium and a trading area. The trading area will be where you can buy and sell items with other of the game's NPCs, and the stadium will be where battles take place. At the end of every in-game month, there will be matches where you can fight against the NPCs and win prizes, with larger tournaments taking place later in the game year. My original idea for this game was to make it multiplayer, and I actually got quite far into prototyping for that. However, I quickly realized that if I wanted to get some sort of release for this game as soon as possible, then multiplayer wasn't really going to be an option for this game. I've chosen to use the Unity game engine over Pygame for a few reasons. The main one is that it's easier to port a Unity game to different platforms, which will give me more options later. I've definitely not stopped using Pygame though, and will still be using it for smaller games and will be my library of choice when taking part in game jams. So it's a few days later, and I'm happy to announce that I've been making some solid progress on the game. If we look up here in the scene view, we can see this big ocean, and when I go ahead and hit play, we can see we get this nice procedurally generated map. If we look down in the game view, we can see we have our player character here from earlier, and he can move around with his rather goofy walk animations. I'm really happy with this progress, and I think the next thing that I'm going to be working on is giving the player the ability to hold a weapon. So I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. So it's a few hours later and I've been making some progress. The first thing that's apparent is that we're now holding the sword, and when I click, we can see that the sword plays out a small attack animation. And this also works while I am walking. And as you can see here, I've also been working on some trees. Now these trees are randomly generated with the terrain, and if I go ahead and pause the game, we can see that we have trees scattered all the way throughout the map. Originally, the way that I was generating these trees was by attaching a script to the grass prefab and then giving it a random chance of having a tree being instantiated on top of it. However, there are about 4,000 of these tiles in the game, and that meant there were 4,000 instances of the script, which obviously my computer wasn't very pleased about, and it was lagging at about 10 frames a second. Now I've cleaned it up a lot, and all the tree generation is done from the same script that manages the terrain generation. So that is where we're going to be ending this first devlog. Hopefully the devlogs to follow will be a little longer. However, I'm very pleased with the progress that we have made so far. If you enjoyed this devlog, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you want to see the next devlogs in this series. Anyway guys, I'll see you all next time.